Now there, because of some disturbance in my mobile, we have actually proceeded, but without even connecting. Now, namaskar to everybody. We come back to and restart our discussion. This is the 9th discussion on biopsychology, and as you will see that the biopsychologists have researched in great detail the foundations of brain, neurons, the neurotransmitters, and in this process we have come to a evolved stage of understanding how the human feelings, human thought, human behavior, the way we react, our emotions, our cognition, all these things are directly related to human brain, the central nervous system, where the brain and the spinal cord is connected, and the peripheral nervous system, where the central nervous system is connected to the whole body, each part of the body, the tissues, the glands, the muscles, the organs, and the autonomic system, the involuntary system of our body. That means functions like heart beat, heart pressure, blood pressure, metabolism, digestive processes, and many other similar processes which are taking place involuntarily within our body without our having a direct command on them. So these autonomic systems, and how these systems, all these systems, especially the neurotransmitters, they are directly related to the emotions. Now earlier it was thought, the research scientists talked of a certain number of emotions. They talked of 7 emotions, some people talked of 8 emotions, some 10, then they increased to 27. Now a particular psychologist has developed an emotional wheel, they call it the wheel of emotions, and there he has taken those 8 basic emotions like fear, anger, happiness, sadness, things like that. So now he has converted into hundreds of them, and as they are dependent on each other. Now, as far as the yoga and tantra of Ananda Marga system is concerned, the Ananda Marga system of Rajadhiraj Yoga, as it is called, talks of 50 propensities. These propensities are actually, loosely talking, they denote the feelings and the kind of behavioral changes that we see. So these propensities are distributed in the 6 chakras from Mooladhara to Agya chakra. Each chakra has got certain specific numbers, and they are connected to what? Connected to the glands and the subglands which are there around that particular chakra. The larger portion of chakra is called mandala. For instance, the Mooladhara chakra has 4 vrittis. The Mooladhara chakra is the basic thing. But when we talk in terms of a wider Mooladhara chakra with all the glands and subglands around the chakra, we call it becomes a Bhauma Mandal. And then when we go up to the fluidal mandal, or the taral mandal as we call it, or the Swadhisthana chakra, which has got 6 vrittis. Those vrittis are avagya, murcha. Then we have prashraya, we have avishwas, we have sushupti, vishad, kashaya, krudata. So these 6 vrittis are controlled by the Swadhisthana chakra through the glandular system which is there around. Now then when we move to Manipur chakra, there are 10, then there are 10 vrittis. And those 10 vrittis again, in the same manner, lajja, pishunta, etc. And those vrittis are then controlled by the glandular system around. Like we have the adrenals, the pancreas, and the endocrine system, especially the master gland, the hypothalamus, and the pituitary, which control all the lower glands. So there is a comprehensive network of endocrine glands which are there throughout the body, but especially those glands which are situated around in the mandal of these chakras, from Mooladhar, Swadhisthana, Manipur, Anahat, Vishuddha, and Agya, and finally the Sahasrara chakra. And these glands or the endocrine glands which are there around, they secrete hormones, and they in turn control our emotions, like fear, like the stress response, like the anger, like the sadness, the feeling of trust, the feeling of bonding. So there are hundreds of them: the asha, chinta, chesta, mamata, dambha, vivek, vikalata, lolata. Then we have ahankar, then we have vitarka, anutap. So like this, and then those sur saptak, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, ni, sha. What are those? Then, so these seven sur saptakas, and then we have om, hum, fat. Hum is the acoustic root of Kulkundalini, and fat is practical, putting something into practice. Then we have many more things. Swaha, then we have Namaha. Swaha means doing something good for the people, for the subtler ways, and Namaha means complete surrender. Then we have Vish. Vish means repulsive talk. And then we have Amrit. That means a talk, doing something which fills the life with sweetness. We have these 48 chakras up to the Visuddha chakra, and then the two vrittis, two propensities, like the para and apara. Para leading to the spiritual realization, and apara dealing with the mundane world. So this is how the 50 vrittis are distributed, and these vrittis are controlled by the neurotransmitters, the hormones which are being released or inhibited by our brain, especially the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and also the pineal gland, and the glands which are there, the parathyroid gland, the thymus gland, the adrenal or the pancreatic glands, and then we have other sex glands, the gonads, the testes and the ovaries, and all those things. The mammalian glands are supported. Then there must be contraction of the uterus. So for that, the hormonal secretion has to flow from there, from the hypothalamus, also from the pineal gland. Now the reproductive system is controlled by the pineal gland also, because the pineal gland secretes what is called the melatonin hormone. The melatonin is actually synthesized using with the enzymes which are available in the pineal gland. And the pineal receptors are there throughout the body. Even in the reproductive system, they are there. We find melatonin receptors there. Therefore, the melatonin influences the reproductive system. It influences our sex life. It is connected to the mother's breast, which feeds where the milk is produced. So the prolactin hormone, which supplies which lets the milk production, which allows that. So we have the the neurotransmitters, and these neurotransmitters are in turn influencing the glands. And if there is excess production of these neurotransmitters, if there is excess production of these hormones, then the effect is X. If there is lesser production, if there is deficit, hyper or hypo, so then the influence of or the expression of the vritti change. In case of the pineal gland, if the melatonin secretion is more or less, it is not harmful. It is all good. In fact, from the melatonin, the pineal gland, nothing negative is coming out. They sometimes have some other hormones secreted if there is a tumor or a cyst associated with the pineal gland. But in general, pineal gland, the melatonin controls what? Our circadian clock, the circadian rhythm. That means our sleep-wake cycle. We have the melatonin is secreted into the blood because it is a endocrine gland, and it also secretes into the cerebrospinal fluid. And through the circadian rhythm, circadian cycle, it controls what? It controls the body temperature cycle, the hormonal cycle, the menstrual cycle, the hibernation cycle, and also the sleep-wake cycle, as we talked. And then there is a guidance which the biopsychologists have developed for keep and happiness of the human body. And what do they suggest is that we should follow a simple practice of a specific time to sleep, a specific eating time, a specific daytime light exposure, that is sunlight exposure. Then we should have a specific time for exercise, and also stress management. We should be able to learn it. Now, these are the healthy system. This is called healthy circadian rhythm. If we are able to maintain this kind of thing, then what do we have? What does happen? Then we are happy and healthy. So in the process of understanding and developing an understanding of the brain, the neurotransmitters, the scientists have come to understand the biological processes which are taking within our body, like it is understood. As I said, in Ananda Marga system of yoga, it is so very well defined and taught in line with those understanding of thousands of years, right from the time of Lord Shiva. Shiva is the father of Tantra and Yoga. All forms of spiritual practices that are prevalent today in the world, known, unknown, all originate from Shiva, the Sadashiva. So from the time of Shiva, Anandamurti ji, in this new age, he has modernized the whole concept of Tantra and Yoga for the benefit of the common man, the modern man. The modern man needed something scientific, new, rational. And Yoga and Tantra is based on science. It is based on a system. It is based on an proven empirical experiences which have been attained and which have been transmitted to the people who performed spiritual practices on a regular basis, who learnt it properly. So what we see is that there is a continuum of development in one field which we call the field of analysis. The analytical field, the field of cognition, as it is understood in the scientific terms. We have those researches which are primarily aimed at physical well-being of human being, getting rid of diseases if there are any, and keeping a person happy. How to grow trust in the mind of the people. People have understood these basic emotions. How we can grow these emotions, these positive emotions, for the well-being and health and happiness of the people, and getting rid of the diseases, especially the neurological diseases, the mental and the brain diseases. Like we have the Alzheimer's, the schizophrenia, and then we have Alzheimer's and also dementia, we have sclerosis, we have all these neurological diseases, the epileptic fits, these kinds of things. So how to control them? A new understanding of these is evolving as we have understood the functioning of brain, the neurons, the neurotransmitters, because of the developed equipment, the developed science that is available to us. We had MRIs, now we have PET, the positron emission tomography. Now there are developed ways of scanning human body, human brain, and in the process we are able to understand. Earlier, the ECGs or EEGs were able to only notice the happenings in the exterior of the cerebral cortex. But today, because of the development in the field of science and technology, we are able to go deeper into the brain. Now, brain is one of the most complex mechanism known to humankind, and our understanding is growing every day. Earlier we had little understanding, today we are at an advanced stage, but this advanced stage is going to become again primitive in coming few years. So we are constantly evolving in our understanding. Now, there is a parallel stream of understanding and development, and we have to understand that particular thing very nicely. While we have an analytical approach, as we know, our two hemispheres of the brain, the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere is analytical, scientific, rational. It is sequential. It is verbalizing. And then on the right side we have intuitional. We have the synthetic model, which we call as the spiritual model, the psycho-spiritual model. The right hemisphere of our brain takes us to a different level of understanding, to synthesis. Things which were understood in much deeper sense and in the right sense, right context for the well-being and happiness of human beings. In those early prehistoric days when there were no equipment or scientific means available to investigate things as we are able to do presently. And their understanding is far advanced than the understanding which we have arrived through tremendous research. Although this must go on parallelly. The Ananda Marga ideology recognizes that human life must be approached through subjective approach and objective adjustment. This world, this created objective world, must be taken care of properly. Everyone must find an equal opportunity in this objective world. It is the fundamental right of each and every created being on this planet Earth to lead a life worthy of its existence. Nobody can deny that. A social, political, or economic system which is not conducive to the lives of each and every created being of this planet must go, must be replaced by a more benevolent, more humane system. where the right is recognized without any discrimination of caste, color, creed, or nationality, or language, or ethnicity, whatever it may be. No distinctions can be accepted, because each and every created being is actually the progeny of the supreme consciousness. This is the essence of Ananda Marg ideology and system of sadhana. This is the purpose. This is how the purpose at the social economic context, in the social economic context, it is defined parallelly. And in the spiritual life, it teaches the proper system of sadhana, a system of sadhana that considers all the essential elements like yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. All these basic 8 tenets, 8 steps of sadhana have to be practiced. Now, what is that which is necessary so that we are able to maintain our worldly existence properly? At the same time, we fulfill the purpose of being born as a human being. The only purpose of being born as a human being, according to Sri Ananda Murti Ji, is to realize supreme consciousness. That is the purpose of our existence as a human being. Now, we have to simultaneously live like human beings. We have to create a world of universal brotherhood, where there is no discrimination between man and man. We have to create such a socio-economic or political system in the world. Simultaneously, we have to do what is known as yoga sadhana on a regular daily basis. Unless we do that, we cannot progress spiritually. So, spiritual practice demands regular practice. Not that we just talk about something. We read a good book. We read a philosophical or scripture. Just remember some Sanskrit slokas. That is not enough. We have to do spiritual practice. And what is spiritual practice? We have to follow yam and niyam, the 10 tenets of yam and niyam. Then we have to practice asanas. What is asana? It is only in Ananda Marg system that asanas have been properly defined, and they have been properly related to human health. How a particular asana influences the glandular system of our body, the glands and the subglands, so that a particular propensity, if it is overactive or underactive, then it can be properly controlled. So a system of yogic asanas are taught by the Acharyas of Ananda Marg. Here, asanas are not just taught, and people are not asked to read books and practice asana. That's not the right way. For each body is unique, and each body's requirements are different from the others. So, meeting our own requirements, we must approach the right people who understand the physiology of our body, the biological changes that have taken place, which are unique to individual. And one must practice those kinds of asanas. Then, as I explained in the past, in the earlier lecture, then we have certain dance practices, like we have the Lalit Marmik dance, in which the kirtan is performed. This is a particular style of dance which was actually invented by Parvati Ji, the spouse of Lord Shiva, and the Tandav dance, which was invented by Lord Shiva, and the Kaushiki dance, which takes into consideration all the cells of the body, energizes all the cells of the human body. And this particular dance form is invented on the 6th of September 1978 by Sri Ananda Murti Ji. This particular dance form is specially beneficial to ladies, to the women of the world. Man also can perform and get benefited from this Kaushiki dance. But All these three dances together, the tandem dance, especially for men. And like this, Lalit Marmik can be performed by anyone. So, along with the asanas, then there are mudras which can be performed for driving health benefits. Then there are bandhas. There are certain specific practices for specific diseases, specific problems of human body. Then there are Vedas. Then those Vedas are also to be practiced because they are good for the human body, for specific problems of the human body. Then there are specific physical pranayamas which can be performed to get benefit and get rid of certain physical ailments. So a comprehensive system has been designed in Ananda Marga. Anandamurti ji says that he would like to encourage all kinds of pathies, and a particular pathy which benefits an individual is the best for that particular individual. We have to see the welfare of the individual, not a particular pathy. We don't have to glorify any particular pathy. We have to ensure that the diseased person is benefited. He gets rid of his disease by whichever pathy it may be. If it is Chansi, wonderful. If it is homeopathy, it is equally good. If it is Ayurvedic, if it is allopathic, it is surgery, or whatever it may be. If it is Hakimi, whatever it is, whichever particular type of pathy it is, acupuncture or acupressure, whichever way human beings are benefited and get rid of their diseases is the right pathy for him. And we must encourage all the pathies and bring them to an equal platform so that people who come for a particular and are referred to a particular department, then they have the assistance from all the medical professionals who are well versed with their own systems, whether homeopathy, allopathy, Ayurveda, Hakimi, or acupuncture, or Chansi, or whatever it is. So we have to deal with the whole subject with an open mind. We can't be dealing in a dogmatic manner in which we have been dealing with things. With human beings, we have been dealing in a very dogmatic and superstitious way, despite the fact that in the field of science we have advanced so much. Now, when we come to understanding the whole process of human life, and especially from the perspective of the spirituality, then we realize that there are certain things which must be properly understood. Because if we do not understand these things properly, then we may not be really able to get the benefit of all the research that has taken place. Because it is very little time that we have at our disposal to discuss in detail the advancements that have taken place in the field of neurosciences, or the biological psychology, or the psychobiology, or the behavioral psychology, or the biopsychology as we call it. So all these sciences which have evolved and have brought happiness in the lives of people, then we have to be careful that we do not miss the boat. And we have little time to get into the deeper side of that, except that we can talk of the fundamentals of all this, the advancement that have actually taken place, and human beings can get benefited from those advancements. And the primary purpose of human life must not be missed. The primary purpose of being born as a human being. That is where our focus has got to be. If we lose our focus, then we miss the train, the purpose for which we are born here. You know that our life is very short. Life on this planet is very, very little, very short. Maybe some people have 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 120. Now, normally very few people attain the age of 120 or more than 100 years. But maybe in the coming years, as the medical science is advancing, we will have many people attaining more than 100 years. Then the times are going to come when we will get benefited from these things. And when these benefits come to us, what is the purpose of that benefit? The purpose of that benefit is that we utilize the time that is available now, available in excess of what we thought, because we can get rid of many diseases because of the advancement in the medical sciences. So we can utilize that extra time available to us in devoting ourselves for spiritual practices, for the realization of the purpose of human life. Now, Anandamurti ji says that if we are firmly established in yam and niyam, what are those yam and niyamas? Briefly speaking, there are 5 yamas: ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, and aparigraha. We all know all these things. Ahimsa. Ahimsa is not non-violence. Ahimsa is not to harm anybody, whether human being or animal, or for that matter, inanimate being. We should not harm anybody. This, the foundational principle. We have not to harm anybody. For our pleasure, we have not to do that. Then satya, that means only doing good of others. Satya has these wider connotations, that satya teaches us what? The good of others, the welfare of those who come in our contact, whether known to us or unknown to us. All those people must get benefited from us, from our approaches. Then we have aste, that means non-stealeth, no, not stealing anybody's thing without permission, but at the same time not depriving somebody of somebody's right. Then we have brahmacharya. Brahmacharya here signifies remembering cosmic consciousness always. That means living in consciousness, living in cosmic consciousness. Brahmacharya means Brahmani Vicharanam iti Brahmacharyam. That means constantly living in Brahma, the cosmic consciousness, is Brahmacharya. Then we have Aparigraha. Whatever is necessary for our own survival, we should take that much. And the remaining physical resources, the economic resources at our disposal, must be utilized for the benefit of the society. Such a command. These are 5 yamas, and then there are 5 niyamas. That means cleanliness, internal and external, both cleanliness. When we talk of external cleanliness, what does that mean? Cleaning ourselves, our bodies, cleaning our environment, cleaning the place where we live. So all that kind of thing has to be done. So Sauch is not merely just Sauch means going for the morning duties. It is much more. What is internal Sauch is much. That means not to be jealous, to be happy with the achievements of others, and then always readiness to offer our services to the people. So that kind of universal approach, unless we psychology inspire and not do internal Sauch, we may continue to talk of all this, but still continue to observe casteism, dowry in marriages, do shraddha, unnecessarily wasting money for something which is not desired. Because shraddha, the things that we offer to the Brahmins, to the pujari, does not go to the bereaved person. So this is how we see that We continue with our ideas. And so yam and niyama. Niyamas are 5. What are those 5 niyamas? The 5 niyamas are Sauch, Santosh, to be thankful always for whatever happens in our life. Santosh. Swadhyay. Swadhyay means reading good books after understanding the implication or the implied meaning of those things. Then we have tapaha. Tapaha means doing all kinds of services to the human beings. Services like bhut yajna, to the created beings. Bhut yajna is the service of the created being, the plants and the animals, the subhuman creatures. We have to serve them. This is bhut yajna. Bhut here means the created beings. Then we have the niri yajna. That means, according to our must perform all these 4 types of niri yajnas. What a yajna here means? Service. Yajna does not mean burning ghee in the fire. No. Yajna means service. Now the best form of service is Viprochit Seva. The next one is Kshatriyochit Seva. The third one is Vaishyochit Seva. And the fourth one is Sudrochit Seva. So a Ananda Margi, or a person who does sadhana, must endeavor to become a Sudra, Vash and Vipra frame. He must try to be one who does Sudra's work, or a Vaishya's work, or a Kshatriya's work, or a Vipra's work. They are all equally important. The impact of a particular service may be more or less, but all are important. So we have seen tapaha. Then there is Pitri Yajna. In the name of Pitri Yajna, what do? We have to remember those who were responsible for giving us this human body, our forefathers. So Pitri Yajna is that particular practice where we remember and pay our salutations to those people, pay our pranam to them. And also remember that everything that happens in our lives is because of the Supreme Consciousness. We are born only to attain Supreme Consciousness in this physical body. So like this, we have tapaha. Then the last one is Ishwar Pranidhan. That means taking shelter into the Supreme Consciousness. So that is the purpose of human life. Like this, yam and niyamas. I have already talked of that. All the other balances which we learn from the competent acharyas, not through books, but from proper people who practice and are trained to teach for our benefit. So what we see that in this process of learning, we have to understand that we have to get rid of, or we have to control the Ashtapasas and Khatripus. Those who are established in Yam and Niyam, they are able to control the Ashtapasas and the Khatripus. What are the Ashtapasas and Khatripus? The Ashtapasas are Ghrana, Shanka, Lajja, Kul, Shi. We have Jugupsa. So like this, we come to a stage where the 8 pashas. What is a pash? Pash is actually a binding fetter. So pash is an external binding fetter. So these binding fetters are expressed in the form of these 8 fetters. And we can control these 8 fetters in our lives if we follow Yam and Niyam, as we discussed earlier. Then we have Khadripus, that means 6 enemies. These 8 fetters and then 6 enemies. What are those 6 enemies? Those 6 enemies are, what are those? Then those 6 enemies are what? Then those 6 enemies are what? The 6 enemies are, as we know, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsarya. These 6 enemies. Kam, that means physical attraction. Krodh means anger. Kam, Krodh, Mad, Moh. Huh? Moh means infatuation. Then Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, greediness. And Matsarya means jealousy. 6 enemies and 8 pashas. And it is only in this manner that we can benefit ourselves, benefit the society. And as we proceed further, we realize that it is only when the flow of mind, is not impeded by the selfishness, narrowness, and the superstitions that we can qualify to attain emancipation. Only when our flow of mind is unbridled, it moves on smoothly without any feeling of selfishness, narrowness, and superstition. It is only then that we can claim to have attained emancipation. Without that, it is not possible. Now, before we finish, let us talk about what is called as consciousness. You see, there are certain qualifying words being very commonly used. One is conscious. Conscious means to be alert, to be awake. This is an accepted idea. Field of psychology, of course, the awakened mind, the alert mind is called the conscious mind. Now, psychology and also in the spiritual parlance. But in the spiritual parlance, there are 3 other qualifying stages of mind. Now, coming to conscious mind, we have understood that it is that particular mind which deals with the sensory and motor functions. Then a certain sensory input comes to our mind, our brain. Then that sensory input is converted into a motor output. So whether it is an afferent nerve or an afferent nerve, whatever way it is, that ultimately influences our physical body. So we find that these are the things which are taking place constantly in the conscious stage. Now, the conscience, Vivek in Sanskrit, is qualified and described in psychology differently than the manner in which Ananda defines it. In the psychology, it is defined as something which has the connotation of the right and wrong. There, the conscience is actually understood as something where the inner essence, inner meaning is right and wrong. Now, right and wrong is something which varies with cultures, with people. Different nations have different ideas about right and wrong. Now, therefore, right and wrong may not be the correct idea behind conscience or vivek. What is the idea behind conscience? Now, whenever there is a particular idea being deliberated, that particular deliberation is called vichar. And when we arrive at the conclusion and we accept a particular idea, then that is called siddhanta, or in the field of logic. Now, but what is conscience? Conscience is something very different. Conscience is a special kind of deliberation, where the deliberation is the endeavor to select a particular idea from several ideas. If a particular person is presented, now what is that idea which we accept as the right idea? The idea which is benevolent, where there is the welfare of all people. animals and plants, all taken together. That is a benevolent idea. When such a benevolent idea is accepted in without and disregarding the malevolent idea, which may be there parallelly presented, then this benevolent idea is called vivek or conscience. So the purpose in Ananda Marg is that each and every human being, each and every created being attain a stage of benevolence, a stage of bliss, a stage of ecstasy or samadhi. That means we are born here as human beings to realize the cosmic consciousness. And cosmic consciousness is Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat means unchangeable reality. Chit means consciousness, cognitive faculty. And Anand is bliss personified or ecstasy. Let us endeavor to attain ecstasy. Namaskar.